an interesting question. And should someone think about start a business go into a franchise? Because I think often people go into a franchise without really understanding what the implications of that are. And so you're in an interesting spot because you've been on both sides of the franchising fence.
Yes.
Franchisor and the franchisee.
Yeah.
So what is it about being a franchisee that drew you in to that business structure?
Yeah. So I guess the number of key things is they've got a viable product already, they've gone to market, they've got systems, processes, I'm going to have support by training, I'm going to have support with the marketing piece as well, and it's virtually felt like a business in a box.
Yeah.
You know, however, there's a capital investment in that, and it can be anything from 10 grand to, gosh, millions, depending on where, you know, the type of franchise you're going down the path with. But it definitely needs, there's a lot of franchises out there that are competitors to one another. So you definitely need to do the research and the due diligence, and understand that it is not, you're not buying a job.
Yep.
You know, you are diving into business ownership, and don't take it from a complacency perspective that, yes, you're getting a franchise, this is my area, I have the skill set to deliver the product, whatever it is, sandwiches to building maintenance to making hamburgers. You still need to get that product to market, and you need to have the customers come to you.
Yeah, I suspect there's probably a few prospective people looking for franchises out there that end up selecting one based on what they can afford. You know, I can't afford a McDonald's franchise, but there's another franchise that I can get
Joe's Burgers,
that's within our budget, and the decisions made, like, so they treat it like when they're going shopping for groceries, and we'll have that because we can afford that, we won't have that because we can't afford that. Now, as a franchisee, you're straddling somewhere between an employee and a business partner. And some days it can feel like more than one or the other, but you're never actually completely either one of those. You're actually in an in-between. So you do have limited control.
Yes.
You know, looking back on it now, looking back on your experience here as a franchisee, is there things out of that experience that you go back and go, oh, well, because of this and that, I wouldn't probably do that again?
Indeed, yeah. And one of them was the lack of independence.
Yeah.
We were directed, this is the only way you can talk about this brand. This is the only services that you can offer. So services, you know, a great strategy in business is have diversification of your product.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the there was one that my husband owned that I helped him, supported him in, and one I owned. So the one that I was in, I was fortunate that we would come up with new products, take it to the franchisor, and they would make decisions fairly quickly because it wasn't a large franchise. But so that was reasonably easy.
Right.
But the one that my husband was part of, it was an enormous. They had thousands of franchisees around the country. So to come up to have some independence, be innovative.
No, you just got to stick with it.
You just can't do that. You can only have the burgers with these particular fries. It wasn't a burger, but it was only that.
Analogy,
and that was really frustrating.
Yeah.
But also the marketing. Oh, I think we might do this. No, we only talk about our brand this way.
So a lot of people would look to start, and maybe subconsciously, but they'd look to start a business to have control. Control of their life, control of financial future. And in the franchisee situation, did you have a lot of control?
No, I didn't. Like, I had to do the hours. For the one that I looked after, I had to have a shop front. And you know, for some of these franchises, it says you will spend this amount of money every year for a refit.
Yep.
That is definitely a piece, and it's a commitment.
Yep.
And you're just adding to your debt, and you know, maybe still paying off the old one. We only do it this way. You must have a location. The franchisor will give you direction as to the location of your shop front, and that it has to have so many car parks. And that's a costly exercise. You must refit it. Some of them require you to do it on a regular basis every 1 or 2 years. So that, you know, it's the devil in the detail that you need to really be clear about and think about. What's the bigger plan? Do I want absolute independence, or am I happy to sell somebody else's product, because that's what you're doing, And do you understand that it's not full independence, but it is still your business, and you need to treat it as such, not consider it a job.
So as a franchisee, if you're considering going in and buying a franchise, don't get the one that's just at the price point you want. Don't let that be the major decision maker. But also remember that you're not quite an employee, and you're not quite a business partner either. You won't have the control of a business owner and for majority of the day. And there will be restrictions. You'll obviously pay to go in there. You'll pay a percentage of your turnover in almost every instance that I can think of. There'll be restrictions around, inspections on the premises, all of that kind of stuff. And that you've got the brand compliance. Where you buy your supplies from will most often come through the franchisor. So, from that side of it, there's a lot to think about whether that suits your personality type.
Yeah.
And
the other thing you should check in as well, and this might be talked to other franchisees out on the market, is what support do they provide? Does the franchisor provide you as a business owner? They may provide you with a lot of support on how to make the burgers, how to serve the product that you're creating. But what support are they offering you in creating a business? And what training do they deliver you up front? Also,
the successful franchisees that I'm aware of are ones that can go and get multiple locations.
Yes.
But some franchises will have a restriction on that, and you maybe can only ever own one.
Yeah, correct.
And so there's things to go, well, how can I expand? Because essentially if you've got the one, it becomes very difficult to earn what most business owners would say is a reasonable amount of money. However, if you can get multiple of them, that's where it starts to work, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Plus give you a bit more leverage over the franchisor.
Exactly.
So there's a bunch of stuff now as a franchisor. Why would you look to be a franchisor? Why would you look to franchise your business? And now you've had some experience on that side too.
Yeah, indeed. And this was in the financial sector. So the reason we did that was that there was scalability. We didn't have to physically finance getting the locations across the country.
Yep.
So this particular franchisor had 50 franchisees across the country. But what we had to have first was viable product, systems, processes, locked in the supplies, all those things that we just spoke about that the E will might consider an inhibitor.
So they still have the control?
Yes, correct. So the franchisor needs to put in the systems, the processes, but it's a great way without huge capital expenditure for, if I was going to expand my business, I don't have to go and buy those locations and put staff in myself. Create a model, and there's a lot of compliance and rigour that sits around that. There's a lot of monitoring. There's a lot of law that sits around that.
Absolutely.
So you've got to consider this complexity. It's not just a great way to scale. It's an effective way to scale.
There's a lot of responsibility comes with it because you've got these franchisees come along and pay an amount of money, could be maybe tens of thousands through to could be millions of dollars for that particular franchise. So there's a lot of rules and regulations around how that franchisee gets treated. It's from the franchisor perspective, it's not just like an employee that you can terminate like that. So there's a lot of obligation there to make sure that you're providing a fair environment for that franchisee.
We do, and what was really apparent was the amount of team members we needed in that franchise or business.
To manage them.
You need salespeople, you need people who are looking after the compliance, the monitoring, the systems. So you need a person for each element of this business. So you are building a significant business in your own right as a franchisor, and yes, you'll get income from the sale, quick capital injection from the sale, but you've got to have rigour in who are the people that are going to run your franchisee. Are they business mindset? Do they have the skills? Are they going to be the right fit as being a franchisee and be comfortable that they don't have the pure independence an individual business has? So the right fit, because as you say, it's difficult to exit a non-performing franchisee. It's still somewhat difficult for staff, but it's definitely easier.
So when I went through that process, when one particular business I built, instead of franchising it, what we did is we put dealers and sub-dealers in these locations. So those people didn't pay us any money to use the branding and to have the rights within a certain territory. However, what that did is gave us a lot of flexibility around, we didn't fall under the franchise laws then, and so that gave us the flexibility and ultimately gave us control. And again, coming back to it, if you're in business, if you want to start a business, you want to expand a business, grow a business, you want to have control around that. And so by appointing dealers and sub-dealers gave us a lot more control.
It's a bit in the middle, isn't it? Between franchising and going out yourself.
So enabled us to scale quickly. And when we couldn't obtain funding to do that scaling, so by appointing those people allowed us to scale, but gave us that control. So it's something to think about there too. So hey, a lot of considerations around if you're looking to purchase a franchise or you're looking to franchise out an existing business. Think really seriously about which do these things really suit you in the way you are, or is there alternative ways you can go about it?